It's hard to have a garage or a shop without a vacuum. It's hard to have a garage or a shop without a good wet dry vacuum or a compressor. We've got an EcoMax 6-gallon air. We've got an EcoMax Wet Dry Shop Vac and an EcoMax 150 PSI compressor. Let's take a closer look at these. You may not recognize these names, but trust me, you've probably seen their products. We've got two great products from EcoMax. We've got their 4 horsepower, 5-gallon shop vac. It's a wet or dry vac. All the contents are inside, the hose, the wheels, everything else. We'll take a look at those in just one moment. We've also got the 6-gallon, 2.6 CFM, 150 PSI EcoMax compressor as well. Have dual outputs on this, so making it great for doing house projects, running a nailer and something else, airing up tires, running 2 nailers, whatever you need to do simultaneously you can do with the dual ports, adjust pressure, all that. We'll take a closer look at that one in just one moment as well. This is the EcoMax model number EM18115, and as I mentioned, this is their 5-gallon, 4 horsepower shop vac or wet dry vac. Now this is not meant to be the biggest and the baddest shop vac out there. They make those units as well, but this is meant to be that a little more compact, great for auto detailing, great for picking up those wet spills, things like that, but very much on the economy side. So it's going to be a cheaper unit as well as more compact also. So all of this is stored inside the unit when you get it in the box. So here's the hose. By the way, you get a 10-foot hose, 1 1/4 inch in diameter. So if you need to buy additional accessories, you want the 1 1/4 inch. But you get a lot of accessories with the unit. There's our 4 casters or wheels, and we even get a dust bag. Looks like some filler cardboard. They claim that this is an 85 CFM unit, so if you care about CFMs, that's cubic feet per minute, basically air passing through there. It's 85. Again, if you're worried about being the biggest and the baddest, this is not the vacuum for you. All of this comes with it, so you get a foam filter, which this is great for, just having the foam filter on there for picking up the wet stuff. It'll keep anything from actually getting in the motor, but still be able to wring that out and dry that out. Of course, something like the fleece bag here, that's going to be great for picking up your dusty items and keeping that foam clean. But if you are using this for wet stuff, then you'll want to take that bag off to do so. Right here at the base, this is where our casters are going to mount underneath, and they should just be able to push in and clip into place. So push it in until you hear the little click. And on these 4 corners where the casters are, that's also where you can store your different accessories, from your extensions to your floor sweeps, your crevice tool, additional extensions. They're all going to mount right there on the unit, keeping those nice and neat. Now, mounting the hose is not just a pressure fit. You actually get a clip. I like to see that because once that's clipped in, now you can actually use that hose to pull the unit around. It's not just going to pull the hose out of the canister. Now, installing the bag is very simple. Basically, you're going to have this little mouth here with that rubber piece around here that seals around this. And you're just going to take your bag and you're going to put it around the circumference of the canister. And then you're just going to take this and you're going to push it down over the top and make sure that it goes nice and firm all the way over that ring and seats all the way up against that. So don't leave it like that. Make sure it goes all the way down and locks into place. And now your head unit or your power unit is going to fit, the filter is going to fit right in the middle of that bag. And then just push your clips on the side, locks those into place. Put our hose on. And now we're ready to go. Now, size of this, height-wise with the wheels on it, it's going to be about 20 inches to the top of the handle. And across it, it's about 16 inches in diameter across the unit as well. And it's not a heavy unit. Just 8 pounds, 1 ounce. Of course, that's before it's filled up, but still an 8-pound unit before you start using it. Now, this is a pretty typical look to the front floor mat of my driver's side of the vehicle I drive. So this is not too uncommon. I try to clean it out every now and then, but when you live down a dirt road on several acres, this is pretty typical. You're always carrying in stuff. Anyway, let's see how well that we work. We'll pick up the big stuff just with the hose, then we'll put on the floor sweep and see how well it works. So it's definitely got decent suction. I would not expect to get all the sand that's buried deep inside this out. We could actually vibrate that out and get it with this. But as far as being able to have the suction to pick up stuff, it does a great job. You can see it was actually picking up this carpet. And let's make one more mess. We got this fresh off the floor. Little dirt, little grass, little wood chips and sawdust. And I want to do something more than just the suction power. I want to show you something else after this. But let's get this up. And FYI, this probably works the best. This has got the little row of bristles here, so it keeps the unit from actually sucking all the way down on there, which is where you lose suction. Once it sucks all the way down on it, then you no longer have any airflow, so it's not sucking anything up, where with this, with these knobs here, these notches here, as well as the bristles, it's keeping it up off the carpet, continuing to flow air and actually pick up stuff. So now that we've vacuumed up some junk, let's pull this out. And so you see we have a little bit of dust remnant right there on this, but that's about it. No dirt, no leaves, no sawdust. No sawdust in there, no dirt, leaves, grass. All of it has been caught inside of here. And so now all we have is a bag full of junk that we can now take this to the trash, throw it away, and everything's still clean in here. So you'll get a little bit that goes past the bag, as you see right here, because that was right there at the inlet. So that's a little bit of dust that's finer than this bag is. But for the most part, this is going to catch 99.9% of the stuff that you're vacuuming and keep everything nice and clean. So I believe it's worth the investment if you're not picking up wet stuff to get you some bags for this unit and keep everything nice and tidy, and you're never replacing filters. And I believe you can get this EcoMax Shop Vac on the Alton Industries website. We'll have a link in the description. I believe it's $59. I believe you may be able to get it on Amazon as well, but I believe it's $59 on their website, or 60 bucks. And now we have the EcoMax 6-gallon air compressor. This is their Pancake Compressor. The model number, item number is the 0210673. As I mentioned before, we get dual ports coming out, so we can run twin airlines and keep from having to fight over the same airline. One of the things I love to see on cord-powered units, or electrical powered units without a battery, are cord wraps. So a place to actually wrap the cord so those things aren't dangling around when you're ready to clean up your mess at the end of the day. I get it that we don't have a cord wrap for 100 or 200 or 300 feet of air hose, but at least for the cord wrap that stays with the unit, provide me a place to put it so they've got it right there where you can easily wrap that up and it's stowed away nice and tidy at the end of the day. Obviously, we're getting a 6-gallon tank here. Here's our pressure regulator. So large knob here, and we'll take a look at the gauges here in one moment. At the bottom of the Pancake tank, we have 3 large rubber feet there. Now that's going to do several things. Number one, it's going to give it a lot better feel when you're setting it down. Number two, they act like isolator pads. So in other words, all the vibration that's going on with that compressor running all the time, these are absorbing a lot of that, so it's not shaking around, moving around on the ground or anything like that. That's going to absorb that, make it sit nice and neat, and also have that better feel. This is also our purge valve. So at the end of the day or the end of use, it's always recommended on these that you actually drain the tank. So you open that valve up right there, let all the pressure out, let all the water out, especially here in Florida. We've always got tons of moisture in the air. Let all that out, close it up, and you're ready for the next use. Size of this, right at 19.5 inches to the top of the handle. Diameter across the tank is about 14.5 inches. Large handle here on the top with a rubber overmold, making it very easy to carry this because it's not a light unit. It doesn't weigh a whole bunch, but it's not exactly cardboard. So anyway, nice integrated handle makes it easy to carry. Here on the side of the tool or the compressor is the power switch, and on the opposite side, as we've already seen, is the power cord. So we've plugged it in. Let's go ahead and power this up. But before we do that, so here's our regulator. If we turn it to the right, we increase pressure. Turn it to the left, we're going to decrease pressure. This is our pressure in the tank. Should be a cutoff at 150 pounds or PSI. And this is to the tool. So in other words, as the tank fills up or is filled up at 150 pounds, we can regulate the output to say 50 PSI or 75, 100, all the way up to 150 as well. So that took right at 3 minutes to fill up this tank from 0 PSI up to 150 and shut off. And this is our tool or our output PSI. And as I mentioned, we could crank this up, give it more, or we could come down with it as well. Say we want to max that out at 75. Now, also understand that if you're needing a certain PSI at the end of the hose, this is not telling you that. So always understand that. If it's critical at the other end of the hose of what PSI you need to run, you need to make sure you've got a gauge at the other end to measure that. You're always going to have pressure drop over a 50-foot, 100-foot hose. Both these, I believe, are quick connects, so we'll see right here when we push this in. Yeah, so you see we don't have to pull that collar back, and when I release, it's going to stay back, and so now it's ready to input again. I don't have to pull that back to push that in there. It's going to automatically lock into place. So 2 quick couplers on the unit as well, making it really easy to remove and install your air hose. Now this is going to be great for those jobs like for air nailers, pneumatic nailers, brad nailers, finish nailers, anything like that. Even getting into, you needing to blow things off, or even air up tires, a great idea for that. However, if you're getting into something, maybe you're doing automotive stuff, body work, and you're needing to run a die grinder or a sander, understand that this is going to be great for those kind of spot deals. In other words, to run it for a couple of minutes, because this is going to continue to run to try to keep up with that. These are going to consume a lot of air. So again, if you let it fill up and then use it for short bursts, it'll work fine. It has the PSI and the power to do it. What it doesn't have is the capacity to run these for a long time. That's why you see most body shops have huge tanks in them. Not necessarily a stronger compressor, many times they do, but at least you have large tanks to provide that CFM for longer run time. So just understand, if you're needing to grind or to sand or run tools for an extended length that aren't small capacity tools, this is not the compressor to do that. But for small jobs or for running pneumatic nailers, great compressor for that. At the end of the day, I would definitely recommend unhook your air lines, crank down your regulator. You don't have to run it all the way down, but crank it down, and then purge your air from the system. And if you're questioning why you need to purge the air from this tank, even if you say don't live in Florida, what's going to happen is, like this tank right now, is probably around 100 degrees, 95, 97. I could probably find 100 degrees somewhere on that tank. And that's because you're compressing air, you're creating heat, you're increasing the heat. And in that heat, you're always going to have moisture. So that moisture, even when the shop is, say, 65 degrees, which it is right now, I've still got a 100-degree metal tank. You're going to have condensation in there. You're going to create moisture, and so you need to purge that tank and keep the moisture out of there to keep that tank from rusting and allowing it to last you a long time. I don't know if you see that dirty water that's coming out there. There's moisture in that compressor. All that is moisture. That's why it's critical to drain that tank. And by the way, this is an oil-free compressor, so you will need to oil your tools, but there is no oil requirements as far as upkeep and maintenance on this compressor. And you could find this for $140, $150, I believe, on the Alton Industries website as well as Amazon. Now, these products weren't meant to be king of the hill. In other words, this compressor wasn't meant to run every single pneumatic tool. And this shop vac is not meant to be the end-all be-all. What they are is very handy units, small and compact units, that still get the job done, especially in the sake of the compressor running pneumatic nailers, and in the sake of the Wet Dry Shop Vac, things like detailing cars and cleaning up messes in the shop. Now, as we mentioned, you can pick up this compressor for somewhere around $150. You can pick up the vacuum for somewhere around $60. We'll have links in the description for each of these, so keep track of us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and even TikTok. And if you don't mind, would you hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done so already? And by all means, if you hated our video, well, give us a thumbs down, but would you let us know in the comments why? Have a great day and keep smiling.